What's it really like living in Punta Gorda? Nothing is perfect, right? Today, I'm going to tell you 5 pros about living in Punta Gorda and 5 cons. Hopefully, this will help you decide if my hometown is right for you. Yo, I'm Adrienne, longtime Florida realtor, and I'm here to help you get your Florida life. Let's start with the pros of living here. The first one might be the most obvious one, the weather. In the winter, a typical day is 60 degrees in the morning and 75 after 10 a.m. for the rest of the day. In the summer, it's 70 degrees first thing in the morning, and then it gets up to about 90 to 95 in the afternoon. It never really gets into the actual 100s here. Sometimes that feels like temperature is 100 or a little bit over 100. But the nice thing is, all summer long, we get an afternoon rain almost every day that cools everything down a notch. The rain can be a little alarming at first. The whole sky around 4 p.m. turns black, and then for 20 minutes, like 5-ish o'clock, it will pour rain for 20 minutes. It does throw some people off when they first come here. After a while, you sort of plan your summer day around it, which is not that hard because the rain is almost always less than an hour. Number 2, I love the people here. I hear from customers all the time about how friendly this place is. Even Midwesterners have marveled at the friendliness of our locals. I believe that it comes from so many people coming from out of town. First of all, everybody needs to be friendly to make friends here. Second, it's such a friendly place because if you don't like that, when you hear this coming from me or when you come down here and visit, you feel it as a con and then you don't move here. Number 3, all there is to do here and what there is to do here. Let me explain. Because we're not a big city, people often ask me, is there anything to do there? Yes, there is. I'm a social person who can barely keep up with all there is to do here. We are big on outdoor activities and sports, tiki bars, small festivals like craft festivals and garden festivals with live music and drinks. I often joke that if you come up with almost any reason to put a beer tent in a park and open it to the public, they will come. Build it, we'll all show up. If you want nightclubs that are open until 2 a.m. or the stadium where Miley Cyrus or your favorite sports team comes, we don't have that here. So it really depends on what you want to do. Number 4, how easy it is to do the things I want to do here. In the winter, the traffic is a little heavier than in the summer, but compared to almost any other city, it's still pretty easy to get around here. Plus, downtown parking is completely free. We even have a huge parking garage in the middle of town that is free, no charge. A long time ago, I spent a few years living in Boston, and while I loved that city, sometimes there'd be things going on that I really wanted to do, but I wouldn't do them because I think, it's going to be so much work to drive and find a place to park and then expensive to pay for it, or I have to take the T. So the stuff became too much of a hassle to actually do. Here it's the opposite. I'll go to almost anything. Why not? It's easy to get there. I park free. If it's not fun, I just turn around and go home. I actually think I do more here because of the ease than some of my friends who live in big cities. Number 5, I love how much our residents care about this city. Many people move here because they have decided to. Often they tell me they looked from Sarasota to Cape Coral, or they started on the East Coast and realized Punta Gorda or Port Charlotte was the place for them. They tend to want to be here more than if a job or something else forced them, schooling or something forced them to be here. And then those who have decided to be here, they want to get involved and the community becomes very important to them. I could do more pros, obviously. I live here because I love it. I could be a realtor anywhere, but fair is fair. Let's move on to the cons. These are in no particular order. Number 1 is the bugs. We are a pretty buggy state. I don't think Punta Gorda is buggier than the rest of the state, but we're a pretty buggy state. It's not the mosquitoes that really bother me. We do have a county program that sprays for mosquitoes. We still see a lot of them when there's a lot of rain, but they're not as bad as people think the rest of the time. The bug that bothers me are the no-see-ums. No-see-ums are tiny flying bugs that bite. I don't run into them on a daily basis, but if you live near water where there's a lot of vegetation, you will see them at dusk and dawn. Some people aren't bothered by them at all. I'm very jealous of those people. And there are ways to mitigate against them. There are no-seam screens that people put around their pool cage. You know, the pool cages are made out of no-seam screens. And then there is something called mosquito nix, which is like a tall sprinkler you can put in your yard, and it has a timer where it pops up and sprays citronella for the time you set it at. That also works really well. Notice I said bugs, but not alligators. They don't make it onto this list because I rarely see alligators, and when I do, I leave them alone and they leave me alone. Number 2, hurricanes. We've had 2 major hurricanes in the past 20 years. We had Charlie in 2004. In 22, we had Ian. In 2017, Irma went over us as a Category 1, but most of our homes are built to withstand a Cat 1, so not much damage. I personally came out of Ian unscathed, but I certainly know people who had serious issues. Often people ask me how much I worry about our hurricanes, and it's a tough answer. I hate them. I heard somebody from California say recently that in California, everyone jokes about the earthquakes with kind of a machismo attitude, but everyone is also sort of afraid of them. Here it's kind of the same thing with the hurricanes. I don't want to live where there are hurricanes either, but I don't want to live where there are earthquakes or blizzards or any kind of accident in general or whatever else is out there to get me. I wish I could wrap us all up in bubble wrap to protect us, but I can't. Number 3, if I did put these in order, this might be my number 1. Insurance, homeowners insurance. You are likely to save money on many things when you come to Florida. There's no state income tax. We have an excellent homestead exemption for property taxes that gives full-timers exemptions and caps on increases. But our homeowners insurance is a mess. Surprisingly, it has less to do with our storms and more to do with legislation. After all, insurance companies should be able to account for storms. They do it all over the country. For years, we've had more lawsuits against insurance companies than all states combined. Last year, they passed legislation to try to curb these lawsuits, and hopefully in the next few years, we will see some positive changes. Number 4, I do wish we had more in the way of the arts. We have a fantastic visual arts center if you want to take art classes or sell your art. We have a symphony and a local theater group called the Charlotte Players. They are all great. But if you want to go to the ballet, see a touring Broadway show, or go to a museum, you'll need to go to Sarasota or Fort Myers. Number 5, this isn't something I actually dislike, but I have to include it because it's a major complaint here, and I've talked about it on the channel before. We are growing fast around here. Certainly some areas for new plans for growth I like more than others. I don't love it all, but overall, I think it can be an exciting thing to watch. On the other hand, some people hate it. And you should know there are more restaurants and shops coming to town and housing developments, and all of this will bring more people. People like to live in coastal Florida, and there's not much we can do about it. If you're looking for a small town in coastal Florida, we're still probably a good choice for you, but it is tough. All the towns I know about growing fast. So I hope that gives you a little bit more insight on what it's like to live in Southwest Florida, Punta Gorda, and Port Charlotte. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next week.